the craziness of the American Psychological Association, American Psychiatric Association. My wife and I have been doing this research work, and we're just taking a break. And we're sitting in the backyard, and we're just relaxing, and she gets this monthly periodical, and the monthly periodical just gives a quick report of all the psychological studies published in the psychological journals that month. And she's looking it over, and she goes, oh, look at this. She said, this is interesting. A study put out by the American Psychological Association says that children who are sexually molested by adults may not necessarily be harmed, and in fact may benefit. I said, let me look at that. Must be a mistake here. No, sure enough, that's it. So I ordered the original article. I read it over. It's junk science. Junk science. I could see it at a glance. Okay. So what do you do in a situation like this? You make 10 copies and you send it out to your colleagues and you say, guys, take a look at this. What do you think? Isn't this terrible? And you get the typical response of the typical psychologist. Well, who knows? I don't know what they mean. Well, what do you mean by a benefit? Are you crazy? This is bad. So I sent that, I don't know if you remember, Dr. Laura Schlesinger. You remember Dr. Laura Schlesinger? Okay, right? Okay. Half Italian, half Jewish. What a combo. 50% Jewish, 50% Italian, 100% narcissistic. What a gal. So she gets a look at this. She says, this is crazy. This is terrible. So she does on the radio, and the conservative radio stations pick it up. Fox News picks it up. APA says children are not harmed, and everybody gets excited. But the American Psychological Association refuses to change. That this is science, and we're sorry we're offending, and we're challenging your assumptions, blah, 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 blah. But we keep putting the pressure on. So much so that there is a congressional vote which unanimously condemns the American Psychological Association. They still hold firm. They try to hire a public relations organization to do damage control. The first public relations company didn't even want to touch it. They found another one, tried its best. Now the American Psychiatric Association joins us against the American Psychological Association. Never happened in the history of these two organizations. We put pressure, pressure, pressure. Suddenly, they changed. They changed. They said, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it wasn't good. So, this is where we are as a science. All right? Now, if we did not bring attention to this, if we did not protest it, that would have been part of the literature. And there would have been referenced. It would have been footnoted. And it would have been just like 10%, 10%, 10%. Just like people can't change. People can't change. Let me tell you another story. The American Psychological Association takes the position that homosexuality cannot be changed through therapy. In fact, if you try to do it, you're probably creating harm. That's the conclusion of the American Psychological Association. If that's true, I'm out of business. All right? If you can change the homosexual through therapy, and if you try to change, you're going to create greater harm. Okay, how did they get to this conclusion? They got the conclusion from a task force. It was called the APA Task Force on Therapeutic Change. 8 members of the task force. 8 members of the task force. How many were gay? Now, before you answer, remember this is a scientific organization. If 2% of the population is gay, and you got 8 members, and you want to be scientific, and you want to make sure there's no bias, how many should you have? Maybe half, right? Or 1? Right. Of the 8, 7 were gay. 7 were gay. And they were the ones who had to determine whether or not people can change. Now, think about it for a minute. To be gay, when you look at the literature, the coming out process, this is coming out of the closet. The coming out of the closet means this. And you see this over and over again. I wanted to change. I realized I had this problem. I was told I was going to go to hell, and I prayed and prayed and prayed. It didn't go away. And one day I met this person, my gay teacher, my gay pastor, my gay therapist, and I was told that this is how I am, this is normal and natural for me. And they had to, in order to get a gay identity, they had to grieve the possibility of ever being straight. In other words, before you can assume a gay identity, you have to let go the hope of ever being straight. That's very important. They gave up on themselves. They gave up on themselves. So these are the people who are going to judge whether or not other people can change. You understand? If I can't change, who's going to change, right?